previously internally there were discussions on creating a dedicated tourism zone, or outlining some tourism zones as incentives for economic development and growth. The Chamber of Commerce and Tourism has approached both the city and the county wanting to initiate that discussion again. So as a part of that, I was bringing it to you all for review and consideration regarding that topic. And Mr. Tyree can tell you a little more about it, as he had done some research on the matter previously when it came up before internally.
Sure. So tourism zones are enabled by Virginia State Code 58.1-3851. They allow for lots of different tax incentives to be granted by a locality for different purposes for different businesses. You can create more than one tourism zone in your locality. You can do multiples. I'll just read a little tiny excerpt from it related to the incentives. The tax incentives may be provided for up to 20 years and may include, but not be limited to, reduction of permit fees, reduction of user fees, reduction of any type of gross receipt tax. The extent and duration of the incentive proposal shall conform to the requirements of the Constitution of Virginia and the United States. One other thing I'd like to point out to be sure that you're aware of, there's certain incentives that you can do through this program which shall be binding upon the locality for up to a period of 10 years. So we want to be sure that we understand that going into it. Virginia Tourism Corporation promotes the use of these zones for tourism type industries. They basically, I'm going to read another excerpt from them about what a tourism zone is. Much like traditional business enterprise zone, a tourism zone allows businesses to take advantage of state and local tax incentives not available to businesses elsewhere. The goal of these incentives is to stimulate business attraction, growth, and increased employment opportunities within certain areas of the locality. This can include hiring credits, sales and use tax incentives, expense and interest deductions, discount utility hookup and payment plans, sewer facility hookup plans. Some of those things we're kind of bound that we can't do through some of our bonds. There's many, many different ways to incentivize these people. There's lots of factors to consider. You may overlap with your enterprise zone a lot of the time. That's not an exclusion from creating a tourism zone. You can overlap the two zones. They'll be offering a lot of the same incentives in a lot of cases. So we have to take into account where we're using them in relation to those, though. A lot of localities choose to do incentives based on the level of investment that a proposed development's going to do. So they may give a certain percentage of a certain tax if you're doing a $500,000 investment, and may increase that if it's $1 million investment. But there's a lot of different ways to approach it. Some other localities are much more vague about how they do it. They just say that there shall be incentives, and they don't really get very specific. I guess they plan on negotiation at some point. So there's several different ways to get into it. Also related to this, there's another program, and I'm going to take a little quote from our comprehensive plan that we've adopted here, because tourism zones are a strategy in our comp plan. If you look at our comprehensive plan, goal 1, the Allegheny Highlands will become known as the recreation and cultural hub of Western Virginia. That's goal 1. Objective G under that one, G.2 specifically, says prepare and adopt a tourism zone ordinance and apply for assistance through the Commonwealth of Virginia Tourism Development Financing Program. So that's what's leading me to the next topic, the financing program. It's basically a gap funding program for development projects. So if we have a developer who's looking to do a project that qualifies for this program, and they have a 20% gap in their project financing, this program kind of allows you to go in and apply. The locality applies. The developer pays 1/3 of the cost, the locality pays 1/3 of the cost, and the state pays 1/3 of the cost. But it gives you more options for helping getting these programs to work. I'm not by any means an expert on the program, but this is what my research has led me to this point. And, you know, we just wanted to start a conversation if it's something you'd like to. I do believe it's low-hanging fruit in our comprehensive plan implementation strategy that we could probably come up with some proposals for one or more tourism zones, and probably some proposals related to incentives that are common sense. And they could be the difference between you actually getting a development done or going to an adjacent locality that has this type of program. So I would encourage you to consider it heavily.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have anything you want to add?
The only thing that I will add is the intent is for the city and the county to develop tourism zones jointly, and not meaning that they're the same areas, but in the intent with falling in line with the restructuring of the EDC, as well as piggybacking off of the joint opportunity zones that are moving forward and the joint revenue sharing agreement, just looking at as many opportunities and incentives that we can offer as growth strategies. That's truly the end goal with this. There's a lot of nuts and bolts to work out, but this is something that the chamber has approached both the county administrator and myself regarding, and they're willing to advocate for it and to assist with doing the legwork and working with us on it.
And I'm glad you addressed it as it being a county and city thing, because that is the way it's addressed in our comp plan. As you recall, we wrote our comp plans to complement each other, and that particular objective is actually listed for both localities to implement.
Would you all be interested in seeing a draft of something? Okay.
Sure.